Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 60th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Today, we are back with an Everything I Watched for October, which don't worry, we got some good Halloween watches for you in here. I do not have every single thing I watched because I watched a ton of Halloween movies, and this video would be far too long, so I stuck to the new ones and ones I haven't seen in a while. So let's just get right into it. This is Everything I Watched in October. Inside Man, 2006, directed by Spike Lee. Inside Man is a film about a cop trying to essentially save these hostages from these interesting bank robbers. This movie, pretty good. A lot of people say this is like their favorite Spike Lee movie and that it's one of his best. I would have to disagree with that. I thought it was a pretty good film, but and I thought it was a different film for Spike. It was not really something we typically see him do. But you get a good performance from Denzel. You get an interesting performance from Clive Owen. It's a good watch. If you like heist movies, it's definitely something you'd be into. I could recommend this movie honestly to anyone, but I'm gonna give Inside Man a 7.2 out of 10. Swingers, 1995, directed by Doug Liman. Swingers, man, it's so money. Great film. Swingers is about some young up and coming actors in LA who are, trying to pick up ladies and enjoy their youth. You got Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau, super young here. Jon Favreau actually wrote this movie too. I gotta say, I think this is probably to this day still my favorite Vince Vaughn role. I love him in Old School. I love him in Wedding Crashers. But Vince Vaughn was money in this role. And if you've seen this movie, you'll understand that line. It's a great 90s comedy. Definitely one of the best pickup artist movies. If you're a 90s comedy fan, definitely check this one out. And there's a dope Vegas scene in here too. So I'm going to give Swingers a 7.6 out of 10. Near Dark, 1987, directed by Catherine Bigelow. Now, I discussed this film in a couple of my other videos, Halloween-related videos, but I'm going to talk about it again because I love this film. Fun 80s vampire movie about a guy who goes on a date with a girl. She bites him, he turns, and he starts rolling with a band of misfits. Catherine Bigelow, man, she was making fun stuff before she was doing the real serious stuff. So I gotta respect this. Gotta give her nothing but credit here. You got a bunch of James Cameron regulars in here. This is when they were together. And my man Bill Paxton gives a great performance. This is a fun 80s movie, man. If you like 80s horror, this is right up your alley. I'm gonna give Near Dark a 7.8 out of 10. The Cremator, 1969, directed by Haraj Hers. Think I'm butchering this guy's name. This is a Czechoslovakian, interesting, kind of elevated horror film. This film is style to the max. We got a movie about a guy who ends up becoming a cremator, and he ends up kind of working for the Nazi party. It's pretty crazy. This movie is incredible. It's amazing. I mean, the editing tricks in this movie, the cinematography, just, I don't know, man. They were really ahead of their time with the editing in this film. I was so impressed. I'm like, this film is better edited than most films that come out today. I absolutely adored this film. I thought this was one of the best horror films I've watched. So I could definitely recommend The Cremator to you. I mean, it's a foreign language film, it's Czechoslovakian, but I definitely think as a watcher, you should challenge yourself with some of these different types of movies, and this is one that would be good. I'm going to give The Cremator an 8.4 out of 10. The Power of the Dog, 2021, directed by Jane Campion. Now, this is a Netflix movie. I wanted to see this movie when it came out, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So now finally, I wanted to watch a Western, finally watched it. I'm really upset that I put it off for so long because I absolutely loved it. Kirsten Dunst, probably the most underrated actress of her time, and we're going to talk about her later in this video too. She was absolutely incredible in this movie. My man, Benedict Cumberbatch, didn't know he was this good of an actor. And like, don't get me wrong, I've seen The Imitation Game and I've seen some of his other movies that aren't Doctor Strange, and he is a good actor. But he put his foot in this role, man. He killed this, and he exposes himself fully. I was really shocked at that. This movie is about a guy who runs a huge ranch, rich guy, and he ends up marrying a woman, and her son ends up taking a liking to her his stepfather's brother, and that's kind of a problem. But this movie is a great revisionist western. It ain't your typical, six shooters pointing out in the air, just, pow, pow, pow type of Western. It's a different Western. I thought it was incredible. It was great. All the Oscar attention it got, well deserved. I could recommend The Power of Dog to anyone, not just Western fans. So I'm gonna give The Power of the Dog an 8.2 out of 10. The Good Dinosaur, 2015, directed by Peter San. I had been wanting to see this movie for a while, and a lot of people were telling me it sucked, and I think that's what kind of put me off of it. I'm here to tell you they were wrong. I really enjoyed this movie. This was a great kids film. Pixar, maybe one of Pixar's most underrated movies. It's about a dinosaur who ends up losing his family, and he has to make his own way. Well, he loses his father, and he gets separated from his family. He has to make his own way. He finds a young boy who is not quite human, but he's really interesting, and they got to survive together and make it. And it's just a great film about achieving your fears, and it's got a lot of good themes that kids should see in it. I thought it was a really fun film. I enjoyed it a lot. The animation looks great, especially for 2015. I had a blast. I could recommend this to anyone, honestly. This is a great kids film. If you got kids, definitely let them watch this. I'm going to give The Good Dinosaur a 7.5 out of 10. Summer of Sam, 1999, directed by my man Spike Lee. Guys, I've been watching a lot of Spike Lee movies lately. I'm a Spike Lee fan. I've been a Spike Lee fan for a long time. I know a lot of people don't like him for one reason or another, but I'm a fan of his. I like his work. I'm here to say I never saw this movie, and I can't believe it. Well, the reviews weren't great, and a lot of people hated it at the time, and a lot of people still hate it to this day. I'm here to tell you, I fully disagree with all of them. I thought this was honestly one of Spike Lee's better films. I had a great time with this movie. This movie is about two boys growing up in an American Italian neighborhood in the 70s, and they're going through their life and figuring things out while the Summer of Sam, or the serial killer, the Son of Sam serial killer was out. That was a real event that was going on, and this movie isn't about the Son of Sam. Okay, this movie is about these boys and how the Son of Sam and what he's doing is affecting their real lives. Okay, so don't go into this thinking this is a film about a murderer if you haven't seen this, because it's not. Adrian Brody and John Leguizamo give two of their better, most underrated performances. The soundtrack to this movie, incredible. There's a lot of crazy scenes. It might be one of Spike's most polarizing movies. I'm sorry, I love this film, and if you don't like it, I get it. I can understand why somebody wouldn't like this film, but I thought it was great. I think a lot of the judgment he took from this movie was just unfair. I think people just didn't quite understand what he was going for. And not to say that I do, but I just dug what he put in front of us. So if I would recommend this movie to you, if you like period pieces, 70s style movies, even though it's a 90s movie, it takes place in the 70s and it really does feel like it. If you're a Spike Lee fan, of course. This is going to sound maybe a little bit crazy, but on a personal level, I'm going to give Summer of Sam an 8.5 out of 10. And that's just my opinion, guys, but I love this film. Autumn Afternoon, 1962, directed by Yasujiro Ozu. Ozu is the man. You guys know him. Obviously you guys might not know him, but Ozu is one of the best filmmakers coming out of Japan all time. He's made some great films. Most known for the Tokyo Story, which is one of the best movies ever made. And this movie, Autumn Afternoon, is an absolute masterpiece. Okay. Um, I gotta say, I just absolutely adored this film, and it's about a man who is a widow. He's a widower, and he has a daughter and some sons. And the daughter is she's becoming of age to get married, and it's about him struggling to let her go after he's lost his wife. And this movie is just an incredible, fun, funny family drama that I just loved. It's incredible. It's brilliant. This is a film I could absolutely recommend to anyone. So I'm going to give Autumn Afternoon a 9 out of 10. And I will say this is one of my top 5 watches of the month. Superfly, 1972, directed by Gordon Parks Jr. You guys know I love my blaxploitation films, and Superfly is another fun one. This film is about a young drug dealer who is ready to get out of the drug game, and he wants to make one last score and ride into the sunset. But of course, the streets do not want that to happen. Guys, this is just a 70s fun ride. If you like blaxploitation films, if you like 70s films, this is for you. It's a cool crime drama, low budget, but man, what they achieved with this budget, I was just beyond impressed. So I'm going to give Superfly a 7.6 out of 10. Gross Point Blank, 1997, directed by George Armitage. Now, crazy, I had never seen this movie, and my buddy I do the Cutting Room Floor podcast with, he suggested this to me, and he was like, bro, you ain't seen this? Watch this. He threw me the DVD and was like, bro, watch it ASAP. So I watched it, and I gotta say, it was funny, man. Gross Point Blank. It's got John Cusack in it. It's about a hitman who ends up having to go back to his high school reunion, which sounds like a really stupid plot. But actually, the movie was quite good. It was funny. I liked it. You get a great performance from Minnie Driver. You get a fun performance from Dan Aykroyd. It's a good time, man. This is a fun 90s comedy I could really recommend to anyone. So I'm going to give Grosse Point Blank a 7.4 out of 10. Night of the Living Dead, 1968, directed by George A. Romero. Now, Night of the Living Dead I had seen before, but it has been very, very, very long time. And for the Halloween season, I wanted to revisit this. This movie is a masterpiece. One of the best zombie movies ever made, and it's super old. The influence on this film is everywhere. This movie is about just a group of people trying to survive one night of the living dead. Exactly. The title tells you exactly what it is. This movie, masterpiece. Masterpiece. I know Halloween's over, but still not too late. I would highly recommend this if you didn't get your Halloween movie fix during October, guys. So I'm going to give The Night of the Living Dead, I'm going to give it what I gave it in my review, which I'll link down below if you guys want to see, because I did review this month. I got to give The Night of the Living Dead a perfect 10. Now, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 because of what this film did for cinema, along with the enjoyment of it. So I know it may not be the best horror movie ever or whatever, but this movie is so important. Peter Pan, 1953, directed by a whole bunch of dudes. Peter Pan, a movie I've seen before, I've seen a few times, but I haven't seen this in about 15 years. And I was like, man, I want to watch Peter Pan. I absolutely love this movie. It's a great, fun, magical film that just makes you feel like a kid again. I don't need to tell you what Peter Pan's about. We all know what it's about. And guys, I know this film has not aged well in certain departments, okay? And I was watching it this time around. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is kind of crazy. But it was the times, guys. It was the times. And I do not think any of that takes away from the magic of this film. Peter Pan is a film I can recommend to anyone, obviously. It's Peter Pan. I'm going to give Peter Pan an 8 out of 10. The Naked Gun, 1988, directed by David Zucker. Now, this movie I had seen before as well, but it has been a very long time. So much so to the point it felt like it was new. The Naked Gun was hilarious. Leslie Nielsen, A plus, so funny. This is a film though, you have to have a really kind of dumb sense of humor to really appreciate its value. But I'm gonna tell you right now, this is a fun time movie, a short watch. Could recommend this to anyone. I'm gonna give The Naked Gun. That's a tough one. I'm gonna give The Naked Gun a 7.4 out of 10. Melancholia, 2011, directed by Lars von Trier. All right, so guys, I have a confession to make, and I don't want to make it, but I have to. This was my first Lars von Trier film, my first one. And I was really excited to get into his films because I've heard a lot of things about him. Very divisive filmmaker. I know he's very controversial, and I just heard all this stuff about him, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna dive into some of this dude's movies. So I decided to start with this one, Melancholia. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen, and I know people are kind of divided on this film. This is one of those films where people are either like, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, or it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'm on team best. I absolutely adored this film. First of all, I told you we were going to talk about Kirsten Dunst again. She gives an all-time performance in this movie, and I probably should review this film so I can just talk about it with you guys more, because I could go on and on about this film. But it's a disaster film about a woman who is depressed, and they may be facing the end of the world. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I gotta say, this is an art house film. You can tell Lars von Trier is a kind of a pretentious guy, and I know he's said some things and he's gone on record with some things that a lot of people don't like him for, but dude, when you're this good, you're this good. He kind of seems like the Kanye West of directors. This movie was awesome, man. And it is a top 5 of the month for me. So I'm going to give Melancholia a 9.5 out of 10. Drome, 1983, directed by David Cronenberg. I like David Cronenberg, man, but God, he knows how to gross me out. This is an interesting horror film about a guy who runs an underground television station that plays very racy content. He ends up seeing Videodrome, and it kind of takes you over after you watch it. This is a trippy horror film. It's a weird one, but I definitely think it's one that, if you're an 80s horror fan, or if you like crazy practical effects, you should check this out. It's not super scary. It just grossed me out a lot. But I could only recommend this to you though if you're a fan of 80s horror. I can't say someone who's, 18, 19 who didn't grow up with 80s horror doesn't like it would appreciate this film, because it is a weird one. So weird to the point where I don't even really know how to score it. But I'm going to give Videodrome a 7.1 out of 10. Earrings of Madame Day, 1953, directed by Max Ophuls. Man, this is a great, great, great film about a woman who ends up selling a pair of earrings, and these earrings touch a lot of different hands. And the earrings are kind of the centerpiece of the story. And I'm really just going to leave it at that, because this is a film I think everyone should check out. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. It's different, But it's another one of those films where it's a great film despite the fact that the lead character freaking sucks. She is the worst. But this movie was awesome. Special art house film, old school. But I would definitely recommend this to anyone. I'm going to give Earrings of Madame Day an 8.6 out of 10. Speed Racer 2008, directed by the Wachowskis. Crazy enough, I had never seen this movie. I actually been watching a lot of the Wachowskis films lately, and I don't know why this movie got so much hate. I do not know why no one liked it. This movie is fun. It's bright, colorful, trippy, over the top, in your face, loud and fast. If you like crazy action movies, this is a fun one. If you like weird racing stuff, this is a fun one. I thought this movie was very good. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was fun. John Goodman gives a great performance. Christina Ricci, Susan Sarandon, and of course my man Emil Hirsch. Dude, this movie was awesome. If you're a Speed Racer fan, I definitely think you should watch this because I was a fan of the cartoons and I had a great time with it. So definitely let your kids watch it if they haven't seen it. I'm going to give Speed Racer a 7.8 out of 10. Red River, 1948, directed by Howard Hawks. Red River, man, this is a great Western. My boy John Wayne coming at it. Howard Hawks, great director, as we all know. This film is about a man who ends up taking a trip with a big old herd of cows to sell them off with a big old group of guys. And a lot of problems happen along the way. And this was just a fun time. Great story, well acted Western that I had a very good time with. You know, Howard Hawks is always coming with it. John Wayne is one of my favorite Western guys. So, I mean, if you're a Western fan, absolutely recommend this to you, no question. I'm going to give Red River an 8 out of 10. The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988, directed by my man Martin Scorsese. All right. Now, I know I just called Martin Scorsese my man, but this ain't my movie. Now, this is not a bad film. I actually think this film was very well constructed. I thought there was a lot of cool themes in it. I liked what he was going for here, and I liked the overall message of this film. It just slogged at times for me. There were some slow parts. There were some parts that I thought could have been cut. I thought the movie could have been like way shorter. Thought we could have cut this down. Honestly, to probably like an hour and 50. Because it's like 2.5. I love Scorsese. And I think Willem Dafoe was incredible in this movie. I think he played Jesus very well. I thought Harvey Keitel was great in this movie. You know, the acting is good. Everything and everyone involved did their thing. I just don't think it came together the best. You know, not my favorite Scorsese movie, but I would recommend this to you for sure, though, if you like to watch challenging religious movies or if you like to have your thoughts challenged. So, but I can't say it's a movie for everyone, especially if you're a devout Christian. So I'm going to give, it's kind of hard to score. I'm going to give The Last Temptation of Christ a 6.8 out of 10. Being John Malkovich, 1999, directed by Spike Jonze. Oh man, oh man, oh man. This is one of the funniest movies I may have ever seen. This was such a brilliant film. This was written by Charlie Kaufman, who did a film I adore called Synecdoche, New York. This movie's freaking hilarious. Okay. The concept is so brilliant. The writing, the acting, and Spike Jonze directed his tail off with this. This film is about a guy who works for this place and he finds a portal that literally puts you in the mind of John Malkovich, the actor. Okay. and it's weird, and people are paying to do. Oh my god, I don't even want to give this movie away. I would definitely recommend this movie to everyone. Not everyone's gonna love it, but I think everyone should challenge themselves with this kind of movie. It was funny. John Cusack was great. Kathleen Keener was great. Even Cameron Diaz was great. And I'm not her biggest fan when it comes to dramatic roles, but she was good in this. But the real star of the show here is the man himself, John Malkovich. He gives one of his best performances. And I think John Malkovich is a very good actor. But this movie is freaking great. And this is a top 5 watch of the month. So I'm going to give being John Malkovich a 9.2 out of 10. Whew. Antichrist 2009, directed by Lars von Trier. Okay, you guys know how I was just talking about Lars von Trier a couple minutes ago? This guy scarred me with this movie. Okay, he scarred me. I'm not going to lie. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I watch all kinds of movies all the time. I've seen all kinds of movies. Nothing really phases me in films. This movie hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm going to be honest, bro. This is one of the craziest horror movies I've ever seen. And it's only because of like 2 parts. All right, like 2 parts. I'd say out of an hour and 45-minute movie, I'd say about 10 of it is the reason I feel this way about this film. This movie actually made me sick to my stomach. And that is the first time that's ever happened to me watching any film. I've been watching films my entire life. And this is the first time it's ever happened. I felt physically ill. I went from being in a total normal state to feeling ill to the point where I thought I was going to possibly turn off the film. I didn't. And although I'm telling you guys how this movie kind of made me feel so awful physically, this movie was incredible though. I mean, Lars von Trier is insane. Like, this dude is crazy. Like, I'm telling you, he is the Kanye West of directors, okay? He is unapologetic about his work, and I love that, because I was screaming out why so many times watching this movie. Like, why? And, I just wanted an explanation for what you just put me through. But my lord, this film was very good. And I still don't know how to score it. But would I recommend this to you? I'm going to say I can't recommend this to everyone. This is for deep art house fans, deep horror fans, people with very strong stomachs, men watching. If you're going to watch this movie, brace yourself. Women, if you're going to watch this movie, brace yourself. Okay? I don't even know how to describe this film without saying just wow. With that said, I'm going to give Antichrist an 8 out of 10. The Secret of Nim, 1982, directed by Don Bluth. I've been on my Don Bluth kick lately. Secret of Nim is a fun movie about a mouse who needs to go and get some medicine to save her son. And a whole bunch of crazy stuff goes down, in this little adventure movie. It was fun though. I had a great time with it. It's a great kids movie. It's got that, that 80s cartoon 2D animated flair to it all over it. So if you're a fan of Don Bluth movies, you'll like this one for sure. I can recommend this to pretty much anyone. Definitely let your kids watch it. I'm gonna give The Secret of Nim a 7.4 out of 10. Happy Together, 1997, directed by Wong Kar-wai. Happy Together is an incredible film from an incredible director, and it stars an incredible actor, my man Tony Leung. This film follows 2 guys who have a very on and off again relationship, and they're probably not good for each other, but they somehow keep ending up back in each other's lives. I thought this film was brilliant. I thought Tony Leung was absolutely brilliant. That guy can do anything. He is such a good actor. To this day, he's still killing the game. So I could recommend this to anyone, especially if you're an LGBT fan or LGBT film fan, because I don't know, for whatever reason, I just like LGBT films. They're interesting. And this is a very interesting one. I found it very entertaining. I'm going to give Happy Together an 8.2 out of 10. The Adjustment Bureau, 2011, directed by George Nolfi. Got a little Emily Blunt, Matt Damon action. Emily Blunt, one of my favorite actresses. You've heard me talk about her on this channel. She's, in my opinion, one of the best working. This film is about a guy. He's running for senator, and he ends up meeting this girl that he's not supposed to meet. And these guys, the Adjustment Bureau, are trying to stop him from essentially following his desires because he has a bigger destiny to fulfill. Now, this film, it was decent. It was fun. You know, I had a good time with it. It didn't knock my socks off. I thought Emily Blunt was incredible as usual. It didn't knock my socks off. It was a decent story, decent little sci-fi romance film. You know, it was all right. If you like sci-fi romance movies, I could recommend this to you. It's not gonna knock your socks off though. I'll tell you that. So I'm gonna give the Adjustment Bureau a 6.2 out of 10. Midnight Ruin, 2023, directed by Anthony Devney. Now, I'm very excited to talk about this because I do plan to review this film. It's a short film, but I'm very excited to talk about it because fellow YouTuber made this movie. Raiders of the Lost podcast. They have an incredible movie podcast. Definitely check those guys out if you've never heard of them. But if you watch movie content, you probably have. They're twin brothers, James and Anthony. And Anthony wrote and directed this short film. It's 18 minutes long. And I will link that below as well if you guys want to go check that out. Support small artists, support guys starting out. I believe he has done a short film before. I have not seen it, but I believe he did do a short film before, maybe even two. But I checked this out as the cap on one of my Wednesday nights. I watched 6 movies and I put this on to end out the night. And I gotta say, I had a good time with it. He definitely took some inspiration from my man Krzysztof Kieslowski with 3 Colors White. And if you've seen that movie, you'll understand what inspiration he took from it. Because I want you guys to go and check this out. I don't want to give it away. But if you've seen that movie and you watch this, you'll understand what I mean by that. But he took that and he made something really dark and kind of crazy out of it. You know, I gotta say, he held my attention through that 18 minutes all the way through. I think he directed it very well. I will say, I don't think the actors were that great. You know, I thought the one guy was better than the other. But the actors, they were okay. But, you know, hey, we got to start somewhere. But I got to say, I was impressed with what Anthony did with this and how he crafted this story. And he made you engaged in such a short amount of time because when you got a feature length, you can slow build your movie up. If you got an 18-minute movie, you gotta hit hard fast. And he did that. I was very interested to see where this was gonna go and how it was gonna end. And you know, I was getting a little bit tired, but this woke me up. So congratulations to you, Anthony. I'm very proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Keep banging these out, bro. And I can't wait to see your first feature-length movie, man. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. So would I recommend this to you? Absolutely. I want everyone to go and watch this. Go and support them. Like that video. Subscribe to their channel. All that, you know. And they ain't paying me to say this. They don't know who I am at all. This is, you know, they have no idea who I am. So this is me just from one YouTuber to another giving my honest opinion on their work. And I thought it was good. So I'm going to give Midnight Ruin 7.4 out of 10. Romeo and Juliet, 1996, directed by Baz Luhrmann. Now, I had seen this movie way back in the day. I gotta say, I don't think this movie held up over time. First of all, the Shakespearean dialogue, it's a killer, man. It does start to wear on you after a while. Although Leonardo DiCaprio gives a great performance, and the guy who plays Mercutio gives a good performance too. The black dude, I can't remember his name, but he gives a good performance as well. Claire Danes was decent. There was a lot of bad acting in this movie. I like John Leguizamo. There was a lot of bad acting in this movie. There was a lot of unnecessary scenes. It kind of paced like a snail. I just wasn't feeling this thing, man. It was pretty. It had a lot of cool set designs. It had a lot of cool stuff going on visually, but overall, man, I just couldn't really get down with it. So I can't recommend this to you, by the way. I'm gonna give Romeo and Juliet a 5 out of 10. Daughters of Darkness, 1971, directed by Harry Kumel. I discussed this movie in a previous Halloween video, but this is a fun, great vampire movie, man. Um, Daughters of Darkness is about a couple who end up at a hotel in France and they end up meeting the Countess, who has been alive for a very long time and still looks the same. The Countess has an interest in the couple and things go a little crazy. This was a fun movie, very sexually charged, little horror vampire film. I had a great time with it. I think it's fun. If you're a 70s horror fan, this is definitely up your alley. So I could recommend this though to pretty much anyone. It may not be your cup of tea, but I liked it. I'm going to give Daughters of Darkness a 7.3 out of 10. Roman Holiday, 1950, directed by William Wyler. Roman Holiday, man. I've been wanting to see this movie for so long because it's been talked up over time through film history, and people are like, oh, it's one of the best. And I was like, man, I bet this movie ain't even that good. I really went into it thinking it was just going to be average. And I'm very glad to report that I was very wrong. I adored this movie. Audrey Hepburn, she is such a gem. I love that woman. She was incredible. And I believe it's her first big film. And my lord, like, how did she even, man, this is incredible. And Gregory Peck, insane. These actors were just, I couldn't get enough. I love this movie. I was actually like sad when it ended. And although I wasn't a huge fan of the ending, it was a realistic ending. But I must say, Roman Holiday is a top 5 film of the month. I'm going to give Roman Holiday a 9.2 out of 10. Ready to Rumble, 2000, directed by Brian Robbins. This is a movie I actually loved from my childhood, but I hadn't seen this movie in about 20 years probably. And I found it on DVD and I picked it up and I was like, man, I'm going to watch this. And I got to say, it was what I expected it to be from what I remembered. It's a wrestling movie about 2 guys who are trying to bring their favorite wrestler out of retirement and get him back in the game. It's a dumb movie. It's a silly movie, but it's fun. If you were a fan of wrestling back in the early 2000s when this dropped, especially WCW, you will like this movie. Now, this movie ain't, let's keep it real. This ain't a film, you're going to watch and be talking about for hours after. It's goofy, it's silly, it's stupid as hell. But it's a fun one. It's a nostalgic. So this may be one you had to grow up with. I will say this is definitely probably a you had to be there one. But I can't recommend this to everyone either. I could recommend it to wrestling fans. But I'm going to give Ready to Rumble a 6 out of 10. The Dead Don't Die, 2019, directed by Jim Jarmusch. I like Jim Jarmusch. He's a good director. He made one of my favorite vampire movies. Actually, probably my favorite vampire movie. Dead Don't Die. Big ensemble cast. You got Bill Murray, Adam Driver, and my girl Tilda Swinton, who is incredible in this movie. Love her. This movie's kind of stupid though. It's literally about a zombie apocalypse that pops off in a small town, and the local cops are trying to contain it. Bill Murray is hilarious. Bill Murray gives some great stuff in this movie because he's Bill Murray and he always does. I loved him and I loved Tilda Swinton. Adam Driver was cool, but this movie it's alright. It's definitely not one I could recommend to everybody. It's not going to knock your socks off, but it's a decent little Halloween watch. So I'll give Dead Don't Die A 6 out of 10. After Hours, 1985, directed by Martin Scorsese. Now, this is a classic Scorsese movie. Crazy enough, I had not seen this one. I've seen pretty much all his films up till now. I think I still got a couple of real low key ones, but I'm about caught up. I loved After Hours. I thought After Hours was funny. It's an 80s vibe to the max. But I gotta say, this is not a film for everyone. I love this film. I thought it was very brilliant. I thought it was clever, and I thought it was funny. It was different, and I like this from Scorsese. This would be a great double feature with the king of comedy, in my opinion. Uh, but I know this is not a movie everyone would like. It's about a guy who literally he meets a girl at a coffee shop, and he gets her number, and he ends up meeting up with her late that night, and his whole night just goes insanely crazy. I loved it, man. I'm gonna give After Hours an 8 out of 10. Late Autumn, 1960, directed by Yasujiro Ozu. Ozu, I doubled up on Ozu this month. Ozu is so good. And this movie is so good. This movie actually, it's quite similar to an Autumn Afternoon, but it's still different. This movie is about a woman who recently lost her husband, and her daughter is about marrying age, and her dead husband's best friends are all trying to set her daughter up with this guy, and they just go crazy and go off the rails trying to get this girl matched up with this dude. And bro, it's so funny. It's such a funny movie. There's some great drinking scenes in here. The characters are all great. I loved them. I had such a fun time with this film. I actually think I liked it a little bit more than an Autumn Afternoon. I'm not sure. They were both brilliant. Like, I love this film, and I cannot wait to watch it again. I could absolutely recommend this to anyone, man. Get your foreign language game up, guys. This is where it's at. So I'm gonna give Late Autumn a 9.4 out of 10, and this is my final top 5 of the month. Rye Lane, 2023, directed by Rain Allen Miller. This is a cool British film about it's a black British rom-com and something I've never really seen before. I love this movie. I thought it was really good. The two leads were great. It's about this young black guy and this young black girl. They end up meeting at an art show by chance and end up spending the day together. And it's definitely got like a Black Before feel to it. You know, Richard Linklater's films, the Before trilogy. It's definitely got that feel from the first one in it. But it's really funny. The style is beautiful. The colors are insane. I really love what they put together with this film, and the two leads were really great. I could absolutely recommend Rye Lane to anyone. It was so fun. It's on Hulu for free. Check that thing out. I'm gonna give Rye Lane an 8 out of 10. God, I feel like I'm being so generous with these scores today, but I guess I watched some good stuff this month. All right. Haunted Mansion, 2023, directed by Justin Simon. Haunted Mansion. This is a new one. They just put on Disney. It was decent. It was fun. I had a good time with it. I really liked the characters. I really liked Rosario, Lakeith Stanfield, Owen Wilson, everybody. Oh, Tiffany Haddish was awesome. Everybody was good. Danny DeVito. All the characters were great. They played their role well. I just didn't love the plot. You know, the story was kind of It was all right. It's Haunted Mansion. You know, you guys know how it goes. It was a good Halloween watch, though. I would definitely check it out, this fall. It's definitely a good fall time watch. I'm going to give Haunted Mansion a 6.5 out of 10. Don't Look Under the Bed, 1999, directed by Kenneth Johnson. Don't Look Under the Bed. Y'all remember this? The old Disney movie? I ain't seen this movie in forever. And it felt brand new. Hey, this movie ain't bad, though, for a little Disney, Disney time horror movie. It's about a kid or a girl who ends up becoming friends with this imaginary guy who's turning into the boogeyman because if you stop believing in your imaginary friends, they become monsters. It's kind of crazy. This movie was oddly scary in a weird way. It was creepy. I enjoyed it. It's not bad. It ain't gonna knock your socks off, but if you grew up with this one, you definitely probably like it. It's hard for me to recommend this to somebody watching this for the first time, but I could recommend this to anyone for a Halloween time watch. So I'm gonna give I don't know what to give this. I'm gonna give Don't Look Under the Bed a 6.8 out of 10. The Babadook, 2014, directed by Jennifer Kent. I've seen this movie before. The Babadook is great. I wanted to watch it for the season. It's awesome, man. It's about a boy and it's about a single mother who ends up reading this book to her son, and this book essentially starts to haunt them. And it's just a fun time. It's a short, quick watch. It's not super scary. You don't even gonna see a lot of people get murdered or nothing like that, but man, it definitely makes your hair stand up. So I would watch it definitely. I'm gonna give the Babadook a 7.7 out of 10. Killers of the Flower Moon, 2023, directed by Martin Scorsese. Oh my lord, new Marty out. Okay, this was like one of my most anticipated films of the year. I went up, saw this thing in theaters, all 3.5 hours of its glory, and I was glued to that screen from the first to the last frame. This was an excellent film. That's all I'm going to say. Go watch Killers of the Flower Moon. Go see it in theaters right now. I'm going to give Killers of the Flower Moon a 9.3 out of 10. I also reviewed this movie. I will put that review down below if you want to check that out. And the only reason this isn't making my top 5 of the month is because it's still new, super new, and I'm like, I just still don't even quite know how to process it in my mind. So I did purposefully keep this off my top 5. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, 2019, directed by Andre Overdahl. This movie was alright. It's kind of like it's a horror movie, but it's almost like a kid's horror movie. And so because of that, I think that's where you lost me. I think they should have just stopped and like they put the brakes on this and made it PG-13. I think they should have just made this an R-rated film, went all out with it, and they would have had a much better film. It's just a compilation of stories. It's based on a book. It's just a compilation of stories that all kind of intertwine, and these kids are all disappearing because of one event or another. It's all right, if you're a Halloween movie fan, I would go ahead and recommend it to you. I'm gonna give Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark a 6 out of 10. Vivasa, 1962, directed by Jean-Luc Godard, the king of French New Wave. This is a great film. It's actually probably one of my favorite Luc Godard films. I actually like this more than a lot of his films that people like put on a pedestal. This film is about a young woman who wants to be an actress, but things aren't quite going her way, and she ends up becoming a prostitute. And it's just a great, fun ride with this chick, and honestly, it's a vibe. I just enjoyed it and seeing her go through her life and, try and make something of it. This is a film I can't see. This is one of those films I really liked, but I couldn't recommend it to everyone. So I would, if you're an art house film, French cinema film, for sure, check it out. But I can't say it's for everyone. I'm gonna give Viva Sa Vie an 8 out of 10. Halloween Town, 1998, directed by Dwayne Dunham. Okay, this is another one I've seen before. Another Disney Halloween film. And I know y'all like, bro, why are you watching these? Okay. Listen, we gotta get down with this stuff. Halloween Town still holds up. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Halloween Town was fun. It's still a banger in my opinion. I actually liked it a lot. I was shocked how well it held up, actually. Obviously, guys, you know what Halloween Town's about. I don't need to tell you. Everybody's seen that. So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend this to you for a good fall watch. I'm going to give Halloween Town a 7.2 2 out of 10. I know that seems high, but it was good. Trick or Treat 2007, directed by Michael Dougherty. Of course, I've seen this movie before, but had to watch it for the Halloween time, and I don't think I've ever really discussed it on the channel, so I decided to include it in the list. Trick or Treat is a fun compilation of stories all happening on Halloween night that all interconnect and kind of jump time. And hey, this is just a fun, very well crafted, gritty horror story, man. I love it. It's fun, man. It takes place on Halloween night. It's one of the most Halloween horror movies you're gonna see besides Halloween. So I would definitely watch this season. It's a banger. I'm gonna give Trick or Treat 7.7 out of 10. Crooklyn, 1994, directed by Spike Lee. Crooklyn, man. Crooklyn is a banger. I've seen this before, but I ain't seen it in probably about 15, maybe even 18 years. Oh, man, I love this one, man. This was such a good one from my childhood. It's about a young girl who is growing up in a house full of boys, and she ends up going and staying with her aunt for the summer. And she learns a lot about life, and some events take place in her neighborhood, and some things happen, and it shapes her as a young adult. It's an interesting coming of age story. I love this film, man. I think this is one of Spike Lee's, definitely one of his best family films. It's one of his tame films. It's PG-13, so not a lot of crazy language and crazy stuff like he has in a lot of his other films, but nonetheless, it's still a banger. So I'm gonna give Crooklyn an 8 out of 10. God, I'm throwing 8s around like it's nothing. Sorry. Traffic, 2000, directed by Steven Soderbergh. Traffic, man, another film about a collection of stories that all interweave and connect later on. I mean, I just talked about a couple. Traffic is a good movie. Is it Soderbergh's best? No, but it's definitely a great film. You get some brilliant performances in here, especially from my man Benicio del Toro. He is so underrated as an actor. Love that guy. I could definitely recommend Traffic to anyone, especially if you're a crime fan, crime drama. Oh yeah, definitely check this thing out. We give Traffic a 7.7 out of 10. Five Nights at Freddy's, 2023, directed by Emma Tammy. Man, this movie sucked. I hated it. Don't be wrong, there was a couple little scenes I thought were cool that I liked. There was some little things that I liked, but overall, they botched this thing, man. First of all, it's too long. This movie had no business being close to 2 hours. This movie should be like an hour and 20, 25 max. Too much Josh Hutcherson, not enough animatronics. They took all the focus away from everything that made the game magical. I just was not feeling this, man. Like, I wasn't sitting there like, oh, when is this going to be over or anything like that, but I just would never watch it again. The chances of me watching this again are very slim. It'd have to be something someone put on and I'm kind of forced to watch. So I can't recommend this to you guys. I mean, if you want to see it because you were excited for it like everyone else was, go ahead and watch it. But, it's on Peacock, but don't get your hopes up. I'm going to give Five Nights at Freddy's a 5 out of 10. Nah, scratch that. We give it a 4.5 out of 10. Lola, 1981, directed by Rainer Werner Fassbinder. One of my all-time favorite directors coming out of Germany. This movie is freaking incredible, man. Freaking incredible. And honestly, if I was doing a top 6 for the month, this would have been 6, okay? This was so close to making the top 5. It was like man, I went back and forth, but I chose to admit it. And maybe that was a mistake, but Lola is a great film about a prostitute who kind of just wants to prove to herself that she can do certain things and that she is just like everyone else. And I gotta say, man, I don't even know what to say. The style Rainier put in this movie, first of all, I ain't never seen him with style like this, man. The color play was crazy in here. The set designs were crazy. Oh my God. Like, my man Fassbinder he is something else, guys. You guys gotta watch Rainier movies, man. He is incredible. So with that said, I would recommend this to anyone. It's German, so you gotta read it, but I would give Lola a 9 out of 10. No Hard Feelings, 2023, directed by Gene Stupinski. Hey man, first of all, I'm a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan. So I definitely wanted to see her do a silly, raunchy comedy. Man, this movie was funny, and I did not think it was going to be as funny as it was. But I laughed. I laughed the whole thing. I thought J Law was incredible. She killed this role. This was so fun to see for her. Something new, something different. And she really put her all into it. You could tell she really took this serious, and she really gave us an incredible performance. That beach scene, though, come on, that was crazy, man. You never seen nothing like that. There was a lot of stuff in here, and this film didn't reinvent the wheel, but there was some different stuff in here I've never really seen in a raunchy comedy before. So I had a good time with this movie. It's about a girl who needs a car, and she agrees to take this couple's son. She agrees to take him out and take this man's virginity for a car. And you can kind of predict where it's gonna go from there, but it's funny, man. I would definitely recommend this to you if you are a comedy fan. It's on Netflix. Watch it before they take it off. So I'm gonna give No Hard Feelings a 7.7 out of 10. Casper, 1995, directed by Brad Sibberling. Man, Casper is a classic, yo. Of course, I've seen this before, but it has been a long, long time. And I was like, man, yeah, let's watch this thing. Casper was fun, man. Young Christina Ricci is incredible. You got Bill Pullman in here acting crazy. It's a fun time. We know what Casper's about. I don't think I have to tell you guys what this is about. So, would I recommend Casper for this Halloween season? Sure, man. For this fall season, check it out. It's a good watch. I'm going to give Casper a 7 out of 10. Last but certainly not least, Rocky Horror Picture Show, 1975, directed by Jim Sharman. Of course, I've seen Rocky Horror. Who hasn't? But I wanted to watch it for this Halloween season, and I'm so glad I did because it's so fun. Let's do the time warp again. I'm not a singer, and my voice is a little messed up right now, so I apologize for that. But I had a good time with this movie, as you will if you've never seen it. If you're a musical fan, if you like dark, creepy, edgy stuff, this is right up your alley. But if you like that stuff, you probably have already seen this movie. I don't need to tell you how great Rocky Horror is, all right? It's fun. And my man Tim Curry is a beast. So I'm going to give Rocky Horror Picture Show a 9 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Everything I Watched in October. Let me know what you watched for the month. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I appreciate it. It helps me out, especially if you made it this far. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that down below. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. Hit me up on there. I'll link that below as well. If there is a film or topic you want me to cover, let me know and I'll do it, guys. I got no problems. I'll see you guys next week. And don't forget the popcorn.